So what is index number? Index number is a statistical tool which studies the changes. Three things to be studied under your index number, that is your price index number, quantity index number and your production index numbers. So what is base period? Base period is the comparison that we have with the current period. Hello everybody, I'm Divya lecturing Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Mysuru, the Temple of Excellence. I take this opportunity to welcome you all for session 1 on your chapter index number. Moving forward, the topics for today's discussion: introduction, what is index number, construction of an index number, simple aggregate index, weighted aggregate price index. So in the last chapter, we have discussed about correlation, different techniques and measuring tools of correlation. So that is your scatter diagram, Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation, Spearman's rank correlation. So we have discussed all the problems based on your correlation, and in today's class you will be able to understand about your index number. So what is this index number is all about? Moving forward, so introduction part with respect to your index number to begin with. So let us take up an example. So let's assume Ramu. So Ramu is a person who has visited a market after 2 months. So he purchased few of the commodities. The price of the commodities which he has purchased earlier, and now in the current period, the purchase of certain commodities, the price has increased. So he comes to the home and he tells his father regarding the change in the price of a commodity. So what was the price in the previous day that he has went, and what is the current day price? So from day to day the price changes. Suppose you go to a market. So today the price of a tomato will be 50 rupees per kilo, but when you go after 15 days, that might be decreased, or that the price might be increased. It might be inflated or deflated. So what is the changes? How can we vary? How can we measure these changes? So to measure those changes in between two variables, so that the single value can be represented to study that changes in a variable, so that is called as index number. So what is index number? Index number is a statistical tool which studies the changes. Let's assume today's price of a tomato is 50 rupees per kilo, and after 1 week if you go, the price of a tomato will be how much? It will be around 70 rupees per kilo. Again, if you go after 1 month, it might be 60 rupees per kg or per kilo. So what is this changes? How can we study the changes in this kind of prices? So the changes can be studied in a single value. So that value will be given through your index number. So what is the percentage of change that has happened in the price or a commodity or a quantity or in the production? So to take up another examples, so if you will be having an industry, in an industry you will be having certain factories. So in factories, one time the production will be high, or the other time the production will be lesser. So what is the changes? How can we study the changes in this kind of situation? So we have a technique in your statistics to study the changes that is happening in the real situation, that is your index number. So with the help of a single value, single numerical value, you will be able to understand about the changes in the trend. So what is the changes in the trend? So what 50 rupees per kilo, 70 rupees per kilo, 60 rupees per kilo, that is changing in the price of a commodity. So with a single value, with the help of index number, we'll calculate, and with the help of that single value, the statistician, the businessman, they can take up the decision based on that single value, because that single value will represent the changes that is happening, the magnitude of changes that is happening. So that explains the trend that is happening in the real market. So what is this? An index number. So what is an index number? It is a statistical device. As I have told you, in our statistics, a very important important technique that we have is index number. So it is a measuring device for measuring the changes in the magnitude of a group of related variables. So what is an index number? It is a measuring tool or measuring device, a statistical device which explains us the measuring changes, which explains us the changes in a group of related variables. So in different variables will be there, as I have told you, price of a commodity and the different prices that we have. So we have different changes in the trend that is happening. So with the help of an index number, we can measure those changes with a single value. So that value will be given through your index number. So index number is what we live, what we aspire every day, because index number is very important. Because in order to know the changes that is happening in the particular market, we need to understand what is index number. So with the help of index number, you can see the trend or the magnitude of changes that is happening in a group of related variables. Next, it represents the general trend. So what it represents? It represents a general trend of diverging ratio from which it is calculated. So it represents the change. What is the change that is happening? So today your salary might be 20,000 per month. So in the next upcoming 5 years, it will not be the same. So what is the percentage of change? What is the trend of the salary? What hike the company is providing you? So now only we can predict with the help of an index number. Or in the past 5 years, the salary was 15,000 per month. Today, what is the salary that you are receiving, and what is the future salary that the hike you might get? So that technique of measuring the changes in a single value is called as your index number. So it measures the average change in a group of related variables over two different situations. So one will be the different situation, means one which measures the base period and the current period. So base period, the previous period that you have got, and what is the current period, what is the changes that we have got. So that the index number will be measured. Again, the comparison may be between like the categories such as person, school, hospital. So the comparison, the variables can be anything. For an example, we have taken persons. It might be between the person, it might be between schools, and it might be between the comparison between the hospitals. An index number also measures changes in the value of the variables such as price, specified list of commodities, volume of production. The starting examples that we took was related to your price index and it was related to your commodity index. So what is the change in the production that is happening between the base period and the current period? What is the price that has been changed? What is the magnitude? What is the value that has been changed? Everything with the help of an index number we can measure with a single value. Moving forward, price index number, as I have told you, we have different index numbers. What are the different index number that you will be studying in this unit is price index number, quantity index number, and your production index. So there will be three things to be studied under your index number, that is your price index number, quantity index number, and your production index number. So what it measures, so what price index represents, what quantity index represents, and what your production index represents, how it is important for an economy, for our well-being and the betterment of the society. So let us look into the price index number first. So what is this price index number? Price index number measure and permit the comparison of price of a certain goods over a period of time. So what it measures the price, the changes in the price that is happening. What is the changes that we have? So that measures your price index number. And next is quantity index number. Quantity index number measures the change in the physical volume of production. What is the physical volume of production? Let's assume in the year 1990, the production was around 20,000 tons. But in the current year, what is the production? What is the comparison that we have between these 2 years? What is the quantity that has been increased? Whether the quantity have been decreased or increased. So that will be measured with the help of your quantity index number. Again, we have, though price index number are more widely used, production index number. Production index is also very important indicator of the level of output of the economy. So why this price has to be studied, why this production has to be studied, and why the quantity has to be studied? Because ultimately we are leading towards the betterment of the society. So what is the changes that is happening? Because since we are in developed country, we need to know what is the changes that is happening in our economy, whether the company, whether the production level is increasing, whether the price of a products are increasing, whether we are in a deflating situation, whether we are in inflating situation. Everything, the problems of an economics has to be studied in detail. So for this, we need to understand our price index, quantity index and production index, because to take up the better decision for our economic conditions, for our economic problems that we are suffering, that is our poverty, unemployment, poor infrastructure, for all these problems, in order to eradicate or to bring up the good measures in our economics, we have to understand in our index number in a better way. So production index is also important, which indicates the level of output. So what is the output that we are getting? Which industry is having higher production? What is the trend that is there? What is the, why the production have been declined? What is the reason? So all this answers for the questions that is arising with the help of an index number, production index number, quantity index number and the price index number, the company or an organization can take up a better decisions. Moving forward, construction of an index number. So how do you construct an index number? So what is the method that we are following? A price index represents these changes by a single numerical measure. So as I have told you, the price index with a single measuring value, with a single value, it represents the changes that is happening in the price of a commodity or a goods. So there are two methods of constructing an index number. So how do you measure an index number? There are two methods to construct an index number. It can be computed by aggregate method and the method of average relative. So two methods are there to measure your index number. The one is aggregate method, the other is averaging relative. So two methods are there. So particularly based on those two methods, so we will be solving few of the problems. So theory part, you will understand in detail what is about your quantity index and your production index, and you will be solving few of the practical problems as well with respect to your price index. So let us look into your price index by using aggregative method. So by using aggregative method, the first method to measure an index number, so we will be looking at certain things. So simple aggregate price index. So what is the formula? The formula for simple aggregate price index is P01 is equal to sigma P1 divided by sigma PO. So what is this? P0 or PO? So into 100, where P1 stands for your price of a commodity in the current year. So this represents your current year price. And the other represents your, what this represents? It represents your base period price. Base period price. So base period price and current period price. So you have to understand this formula. Moving forward, let us solve the problem of price index number with the example. So this is a problem given to you. So commodities, commodity A, B, C and D. So the 3 commodities given and the base period, current period, price is given and the percentage change. So commodity A. So commodity A's price in the base period was rupees 2 and the current period price is rupees 4. So now from 2 to 4 rupees it has been increased. So what is the percentage of change? 100 rupees. That is a 100% change that has happened in your commodity A. So when it comes to commodity B, so base period price was rupees 5 and it has been increased to rupees 6 in the current period. So 20% change that has been happened. And in commodity C, 4 rupees is the base period price. It has been increased 5 rupees, 25% increase, a change that has happened. And 2 rupees base period price and current period price, it has been 2 to 3 rupees. So it is 50% change that we can see in the base period to current period. The trend has been changed. So how to calculate price index method? By using simple aggregate method. So what is the formula? Price index number is equal to sigma P1 divided by sigma PO into 100. So that is what the formula that we have discussed in the previous slide. So this is the formula of simple aggregate method. So what is P1? So P1 is nothing but your current period. So the current period price. And what is the P note or PO is? It's nothing but the base period price. So just let us substitute all the values and check out what is the percentage of change that can be represented in a single value, so that we can see that single value and take up the decisions. So what is that? Sigma P1, your current period price, we will be taking up first. So what is the current period price? 4 plus 6 plus 5 plus 3 divided by base period, that is 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 into 100. So if you substitute the value what you get will be how much? 38.5%. So 138.5 will be the answer. 138.5. So if you're converting that into the percentage, you'll get how much? 138.5. So 38.5% is the change that you can see. So how to solve? 4 plus 6 plus 5 plus 3 divided by the value with 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2. So both the numbers you have to divide and multiply with 100. The value you get is how much? 138.5. So when you are taking up into the percentage, it will be 38.5%. So by using a simple aggregate price index formula, so you can calculate the price index, the change of the price in a single value. So what is the percentage that has been changed? Here the price is said to be have risen by how many percent? 38.5%. Moving forward, we have weighted aggregate price index. So in the previous slide, we have discussed about simple aggregate price index, but now we are discussing about weighted aggregate price index. So in the previous problem that we have discussed, only price were given, but the quantity were not given. So in a real market situation, based on the quantity, the price will be determined. So it is important to weigh the prices. It is important to put a weight, assign the weight to the quantity and then calculate the price index. So what is this weighted aggregate price index? So it is nothing but when quantity is given, you have to, market will determine the price based on the quantity. So because from one commodity to another commodity, the quantity varies as well as the price also varies. So in order to compute that, we have weighted aggregate price index. So the formula to compute weighted aggregate price index, it is just similar to your simple aggregate price index. The only difference we have is your quantity is added. So base period quantity is taken into consideration in your formula. Only that is the difference we have in your weighted aggregate price index. So the formula for weighted aggregative price index is, so your is equal to, so what is the price? Sigma P1 quantity of a base period divided by sigma your base period price into base period quantity into 100. So if you solve this, you will get your weighted aggregate price index. The same problem, let us assign the weight to the same problem by assigning the quantity. By assuming the quantity, we can check out what is the calculation. So we are assigning, this is your base period quantity and this is your current period quantity. So let us assume the figures, arbitrary figures, and check out the calculation. So let us assume the quantity as 10, 12, 20 and 15. So for current period, the price and the quantity, let us assume it as 5, 10, 15 and 10. So what is this? We are taking up the quantity, because in the real market situation, for calculating anything, if the price is determined based on the quantity, on what quantity you people have purchased the commodity. So what is the price? So we have to know what is the quantity. So let us use the weighted aggregate price index formula and check out what is the value. So what is the formula? The formula will be same, only we are adding quantity to that formula. So quantity, which quantity? We are adding base period quantity. So quantity, base period quantity will be Q0, Q0. So the only thing we are adding to that is the quantity. So let us start. Price index will be, so what is the quantity that we have? Base period quantity 10, 20. What is the base period quantity? We have 10, 12, 20 and 15. So let us add the values with the current period. So what is the current period? 4 rupees in the current period. And what is the base period? Into 10 plus 6 into 12 plus 5 into 20 plus 3 into 15 divided by, now what is the base period price? The base period price is 2. So since as per the formula, only we are assuming the base period quantity, taking up the base period quantity as an example, we are taking up only, we are considering the base period itself. So base period is how much? That is 10 plus 5 into 12 plus 4 into 20 plus 2 into 15 into 100. So as per your formula. So when you multiply all this number, so all the numbers multiply, add the numerator number as well as your denominator number, divide it, multiply with 100, you will get the value as 135. So the percentage of change that you can see is how much? 35%. That is 135 will be the price index number. So this is how you calculate the weighted aggregate price index number when the quantity is given. So that's it for today's class. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful session. Hope the session was very interesting and fruitful. Smile is the biggest jewel you can wear. Keep smiling, people. Thank you.